Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Well, wow. I don't think we're going to be at a loss for conversations for the foreseeable future, folks. Holy moly. Happy Monday, everybody. Want to make a special announcement. We have a new sponsor of the show. Just met with Pete and Warren from Source Solar, your local source for solar. You can go to source.solar, and they are licensed in Iowa and Illinois. We're going to have conversations with them in the next few weeks about how to arrange an estimate for you to have solar at home and see if it's something that works for you. So what a great idea. I'm very excited. And thank you to Source Solar for being an official sponsor of Driving It Home with me, Patti Vasquez, in addition to our sponsor, Minocqua Brewing Company, which, by the way, I should let you know, we will be at the Minocqua Brewing Company's tap room in Madison, Wisconsin, coming up this Tuesday. That's Tuesday the 18th. I believe that's the right date. You're welcome to text me and let me know if I'm wrong, but it's next Tuesday. We'll be at the tap room broadcasting Driving It Home live. And of course, Kirk Bankstead will be joining us in person there. It's a great tap room. They've got all the great T-shirts you see online, all the great beers, obviously, all the great products that they carry. So please, if you are so inclined, join us at the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room in Madison, Wisconsin. I want to say hello to, I believe we have a lot of new listeners today. Over the weekend, a post on the Patti Vasquez show page got a lot of activity, and some folks really got into it with me. What I loved about it was the people who were angry and their panties got in a bunch and they're just a bunch of lick spittles. It's a graphic, it's a cartoon of a woman wearing a MAGA sweatshirt and an individual wearing a trans flag on a T-shirt. And essentially it's, we can't be, this isn't about having different opinions anymore. This is about fundamentally hurting the people in your life. It's just politics. We can still be friends. And what people, I think, got upset about, well, some people were like, I have friends that are Republicans and Democrats, and but the thing that set a lot of folks off was the trans pride flag. I would say, first of all, to those of you who got very angry, and again, your panties are in a bunch, I hope you've been able to untuck them, but it could be anybody. For me, as the mother of a child with a disability, you also have hurt my family fundamentally with the kind of cuts that they are already making. The impact of that one day where the administration froze and blockaded funding for crucial programs, people who have disabilities, seniors who receive all kinds of supports, those groups, first of all, they had to suspend a lot of their programs. There are agencies across the country, and everyone is jumping on my page talking about how it was all waste and all these things. Okay, then if you think care for the elderly, for the disabled, for our veterans is a waste, then you are getting exactly what you wanted. I hope that nobody in your life is able to survive without the support of those programs. So. Anyway, so a lot of folks, I got a couple of rather threatening messages in my DM, and I don't know why people do that, especially when they use what seems to be their real names and things like that, because then, now we have documentation of that. But at any rate, I do want to welcome the folks. The benefit was a lot of folks who agree with the kind of sentiment and the conversations or want to have more of these conversations, and you're not going to agree with everything, and that's the point. But I want to welcome you as our new viewers on WCPT 820, and let you know if you are in the Chicagoland area, as it gets a little darker, it becomes a little harder to hear us through your terrestrial radio, meaning your radio in your kitchen or in your car. So we encourage you to listen on the TuneIn app, or you can watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. I believe, let me fix my hair because I can see myself on the screen there. Hi, everybody. So welcome to WCPT. And yeah, that was a lot that happened over the weekend. I assume that you heard whether it was on the news last night or just now on the AP at the top of the hour. The Treasury has been instructed to stop making pennies. And there used to be, I feel like on West Wing, this was actually a topic as to why we still made the penny. And I think it had something to do with the great state of Illinois because it's the only currency that President Abraham Lincoln appears on. And I think there was a fight for that. But I guess let's be honest, $85 million is a lot to lose on a penny. So what are your thoughts on the penny and other topics that, of course, have come up over the last few days? The administration has also ceased operations for the Consumer Protection Bureau, which has worked to make sure that was an agency that President Obama put into place in order to protect consumers and Americans from the predatory practices of lenders, in particular in the fallout from the mortgage crisis. And in the years since it opened, became part of our system, $21 billion has been restored and or they have prevented from leaving the wallets, the bank accounts of working Americans who are trying to provide for their families, stay in their homes, and essentially this opens up the floodgates for the billionaire class, the corporations, to continue to manipulate the system to benefit themselves. Whether after the mortgage crisis, people who lost their homes. Those homes were bought up by hedge fund investors, and it has a pretty direct relationship to the fact that we now have such high housing costs, just to name a few. And here, Jim's got some thoughts on another aspect of our society in America that negatively impacts us. How are you doing? How you doing, Jim?
All right.
Yeah.
What's left of the society after 50 days with this maniac?
Oh, wait. Lincoln's on the $5 bill? Thank you. Then never mind. Then why was the pun? Yeah, I never think about what's on the money. Thank you, everybody.
But
I'm
aren't
so
they
tired.
losing money? Yeah, I know. Aren't they losing
Thank
money
you.
with the penny already? I think Musk
85 million. They were saying 85.
That's the Musk gets parking money. But anyway, he probably instigated that. But I was thinking of the liquor cabinet he's installed. You got Robert Kennedy Jr., who we won't know if we get a vaccine. We won't know what we're getting, flu shots, what kind of a vaccine we're going to get because he's completely off the wall. And Dr. Oz is going to look into Medicare and Medicaid. All I can say is, Patty, real quick, my family doctor delivered my mother. She was a triplet. He fell down the stairs on a house call and broke his neck and died. His son became our doctor. He delivered me on the west side at St. Anne's. He was our doctor till I was at least 20. Whatever emergency I was in, an appendectomy, whatever, he was always be there, trying to get the right surgeon for me, etc. And what the point I'm bringing about is the Europeans say we need a general practitioner. If you have a general practitioner in your family that has an interest in, you could call and say, "Oh my God, you might have something," but you have immediate access to a general practitioner. Your outcome naturally is going to be way better than when you're in trouble and you've got to go fishing around for a doctor. I mean, that's just common sense. But we're going backwards. For some reason, we are going backwards in the healthcare area. Along with, just think of women's healthcare. Now, take women's healthcare. I've heard more stories about women with difficulties in pregnancies, etc., that I've ever heard in years.
In some states, that they're not reporting on maternal mortality in states like Georgia, Texas, because they don't want people to know when women die as a result of complications during pregnancy because they didn't have access to abortion care. But in addition to that, you're right. There are there seems to be a rise in complications. Yeah,
I'm hearing more and more difficult stories that shouldn't exist because. You think healthcare is private. So between you and your doctor, and no neighbor. I don't want my neighbor sticking his nose into my medical history.
Yeah.
Or anybody else. That's between me and my doctor. But just think it. But I call this the liquor cabinet because you got to be stoned to believe these people he's put into this place. My God, Dr. Oz, that lunatic. He'd sell anything he'd do anything for a buck. Anything for a buck. And, I mean, just think of these people. They're all insane. And then what's interesting is how are they going to implement this bizarre Republican notion that this is going to be utopia, Republican utopia.
Well,
if they cut all the programs, they cut Social Security, all the programs and everything, if we go back to the 1920s, because Republicans ran the show from about 1920 to about 1932, and we know what happened there. It was like 12 years of catering to big business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we know what happened there. And really, what government is, there's no such thing as a leftist or a rightist or anything. If you're president and you have some difficulties, you have to be pragmatic about it. Roosevelt's old saying was, I'll try this. If it doesn't work today, I'll try something else tomorrow. Well, we'll try something. Maybe something will work. And that's what we all do in our life, Dave. Yeah. We all do that.
Well, we should be willing to, based on new information, make decisions, right? Informed decisions. Right. And to your point about this Republican utopia, I think it's the billionaire utopia of us being basically at the mercy of the corporations and the wealthy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but, I mean, it's so blatantly out there. And then I hear the Republicans, say, well, Musk, he should be running the government. He's going to get rid of all the waste and all the waste. Well, the waste, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I was never really concerned about waste. Were you? I never even thought about waste.
Well, it's hard, right? Because knowing that, look, we know that there are some look, even for me, even if it's just leaving the lights on all night, we could save money. I think that the way we spend money on contracts and things like that. Look, let's use the example of what happened with the migrant crisis here when people were being shipped here by Governor Abbott. The amount of money that we spent in the city of Chicago. Remember, we were like breaking ground in places to build a tent city and having contracts with someplace from Colorado, not even doing local contracts. I mean, there certainly needs to be better oversight. I don't think that burning the whole thing down, because how expensive is it to build it back up again then, right? They're doing this without any plan to, help people. It's just to destroy people's lives. So there's got to be something in the middle.
White collar criminal crime, it dwarfs shoplifters and so on. It dwarfs it.
Yes, absolutely. I scream about that all the time. Yep.
No, I know you do, but they've been stealing like mad forever. I mean, Trump is the biggest criminal that ever. I mean, just think of how these guys got their money. I mean, Musk never did a day's work in his life. Trump never did a day's work in his life.
Yeah.
But yet they walk around going, I'm a billionaire. I'm a billionaire. Well, go through the history day by day and how he became a billionaire. He became a billionaire because he stiffed everybody. Trump stiffed everybody, wouldn't pay anybody. My brother told me, my brother was a contractor. He said he was talking about a window guy. He did a bunch of windows for him. And the guy sued him. But he said, because my brother had to sue people. Well, it gets to the point where it's not worth you suing them because it's, but you're going to break even at some point. You're not even going to bother going through it. So he knew that.
Right.
So he's, and Musk pretends that he's some kind of a genius.
Oh, my God. I know.
And it's all contracts that he connived. And,
well, not just that, but the people that he is, whether it's the FAA or like some of these IGs that he had fired were investigating him.
Oh, I know.
It's like, what are we doing here?
I know. Well, he's going to get rid of those the investigators. Yeah. What's going to be left? That's the point. I mean, with these agencies, nobody has an idea or a clue of what's going to be left, let's say, by July or by the spring. We don't know who's going to be there's going to be FBI. He's firing the FBI guys. He had the nerve to investigate crimes by Trump. So therefore, they should be kicked out of the FBI. Now that's how crazy this is, and they're supposed to be the party of law and order.
Well, God. As maddening as this is for us, imagine the people that were investigating him and know all the things, whether it was Jack Smith or any other prosecutors, or I can't. Yeah. I don't know how they sleep. It's got to be brutal.
How did they vote for this guy? I don't understand how these people voted for this guy. It's just, to me, I'll never figure it out. I'll go to my grave. I'll never figure out how you could vote for a guy who ginned up a riot and wouldn't admit that he lost the race. I mean, that's just. I couldn't believe they voted for this guy. And Kamala Harris, to me, was one of the best candidate I've seen come along in a long, long time. I think she had impeccable credentials.
Yep.
Again, we talked about health care as a right. But anyway, this is, we don't know what it's going to look like. Every day is going to be torture.
It's a fire hose of information. Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Take care.
Good to hear from you. That's our wellness check with our friend Jim in Chicago. And he reminded me of something with the white-collar crime. Remember when Donald was running the first time and talked about his taxes, and he said that he doesn't have to pay that much in taxes because he's smart and he knows how to game the system. And I remember Dave Chappelle had a monologue about this during right after Trump won. That he felt like, for a lot of people that he was telling the truth. Because he's rich, he can get away with it. And the cost to this country in white collar crime amounts, it outpaces blue collar, I guess what we would call blue collar crimes, right? You think of things that are more visible, more associated with violence, and of course has a tremendous impact negatively on our society. The estimated cost of working class crime, or just not wealthy white collar crime, is $14 billion a year, whereas white collar crime is anywhere between $500 billion and $1.7 trillion a year, with fraud, money transfers, waste. They also have wage theft. So directly impacting people and their ability to take care of themselves and their families. So, but it reminded me when Trump talked about how he knows how to, he knows how to get out of paying his taxes. Of course, the rest of us have to pay for our taxes. And I want to let you know that coming up at 5:30, we're going to have a guest on our show. We're going to have an accountant. We're going to have someone to talk about tax services, including tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation. We're going to talk to Jeff Badu, and his vision is to create a community of abundance, especially in the underserved areas of Chicago's South Side. So that conversation is coming up at 5:30. So if you have any questions about your taxes, this might be a good time to give us a call or think about those questions. If you want to text them, you can text at 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. You can text in your questions, or you can call and talk to Jeff when he's on the air in just a few moments. If you want to call and wait on hold so that you're in the queue, you're more than welcome to. You can hear the show on the phone. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Think Theory Radio.
Manipulating the masses is more utilizing propaganda, gaining a wide quadrant of the public, where crowd manipulation is more focused, like the divisionary tactics of these political parties. They utilize certain talking points and phrases to target specific groups that they want to maneuver and empower and get them to do their bidding.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820. This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Well, a little technical update for you. Our Facebook live feed is up and running, so you can see the live stream if you visit the WCPT Facebook page as well as the Patti Vasquez Show page. Are we on YouTube as well? We're on YouTube as well, so those are some destinations where you can catch up with the show. And I want to say hi to some new friends that we have in the audience watching. I want to say hi to Brian. Brian writes, bootlicker/lickspittle to BB's Israel is no way for a president to go through life. However, it doesn't matter what the orange criminal says involving America and BB's crimes, stealing land, ethnic cleansing, and nation building will be costly and stupid. That's for damn sure. So, yeah. And then goes on with some other language. Calling President the Velveeta criminal. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So thank you for joining the show, Brian. And hi to a friend listening in Sacramento, California. That's Randy Hicks. Hey, Randy. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. And hi again to Karen and Eileen. We're back, everybody. We're back on the live stream. So thank you for that. Matt and Jim and Lady be and everyone helping us out here to make sure that we are up and running. Myrna is on the line. Myrna, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, you sounded like Romper Room saying
I
hi
know.
to everybody.
Hi, Eileen. Hi, Karen. Hi, Myrna.
My comment for today is regarding the decision for Mr. Musk, or Scum, as I call him, to eliminate the penny. I agree that it doesn't make sense for it to cost 3 cents to make one coin. It's only worth a penny. But you have to think of something, and this is from personal experience that happened in Mexico. My family's from Monterrey, which is basically Chicago in Mexico. That's how big it is. That's how, it's not a town, it's a city. They went through a shortage of coins, and when you would go to the store, you were supposed to get 3 cents back. They would ask you because they didn't have the pennies, they would ask if you wanted 3 pieces of bubble gum or 3 pieces of hard candy. How are they going to handle the getting rid of pennies in the in the U.S.? Because in order to do that,
then you also need more nickels. I apologize. Go ahead. You asked a question. I thought it was my turn. Go ahead.
And this is for everybody, not just for Republicans. This is for everybody. If you have to eliminate the pennies, every single merchant is going to have to reconfigure what they're going to charge for items. The government itself is going to have to reconfigure taxes because you're going to have to figure out how to make the total come out to whatever is not showing any type of 5 cents or under. So if I owe property taxes and my property taxes are, say, $300.12, how are you going to get rid of the 12 cents? Are you going to push it up, round it upward?
Right. So So are we now paying 3 pennies more for goods? Like, let's say you have something that costs $19.87. Now you're going to pay that extra $3 to whatever company that is what you're saying too.
Exactly. So how are they going to? Everyone is going to have to reconfigure everything. They're not looking at that. All they're looking at is the incredible job that Mr. Scum went through all that thinking, brainstorming to say, hey, let's get rid of a penny because it costs 3 cents to make it.
Right. In Canada, just to give an example of how it's handled in Canada, they got rid of theirs in the early 10s or teens. And in Canada, you round it to the nearest nickel. So for $19.82, it becomes $19.80, and $19.83 becomes $19.85. So I guess the logic is you lose some, you win some. I guess they figure it comes out in the wash is the only way I would be able to explain it that way. But then you also put the pressure on to create more. Now you need more nickels, right? So how much do nickels cost to make?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So we get screwed either way.
Yeah. That's the entire point of Doge is its efficiency to flood more money to the billionaire class, to the as Tom Hartman calls them, the morbidly wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I told Lady V, there's nothing more important to be thinking about right now but how to eliminate the penny.
I know.
Who cares about homelessness, veterans not having benefits? Yeah, let's get rid of the penny because that's way more important.
That's what they're doing.
That goes to show you where their brains are or what their
I don't know exactly. Thanks, Myrna. Be well. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Let me get to a couple calls before we get to our guest coming up to talk about tax season and your taxes. Hey, what's going on, David in Geneva?
Hi there, Patty. How are you?
I'm well. It's Monday, so, more of this.
Yes, it is. So I came across this person that is in the Trump orbit, and I don't know if you have heard of them. I think it's Curtis Yarin, Yarin.
I have not. Go ahead. Tell us.
Well, I hadn't heard of him either until I saw a interview with J.D. Vance and some podcaster.
Of
and
course.
apparently, this guy is basically a fascist, and he wants to essentially destroy the government, and he thinks that the American democracy project has failed, and he wants to have a monarchy or an authoritarian. Well, monarchy is an oxymoron, a dictatorship, essentially.
Right.
And he came up with this name called RAGE, for retire all employees, federal employees. And that's kind of what is going on. That's kind of what's going on now. In the Trump administration, they're trying to get rid of everybody. And he was saying that the Republicans need to get over the idea of being weak. They need to get used to being strong and focused and very aggressive. And as J.D. Vance coined the phrase or said, it's like ripping out a tumor to get rid of all of the current administrative elite. So they are, that is the whole plan.
Yep. I see
he was at a inauguration ball as a informal guest or honoree. He has been putting these ideas and so forth in their head. Of course, they already had them, but it's a scary dude.
Yeah,
so,
I'm going to do more research on this, and I think we can come back to this because I want to get to our guest that's on the line, but it's Curtis Yarvin for anyone who wants to do a little bit of research on.
Yarvin.
It's Curtis Yarvin. Y-A-R. No, I've got it right in front of me. Curtis Yarvin, Y-A-R-V-I-N. And very much in line with what Steve Bannon was talking about and all those issues. So I'm going to bring this up again if you want to call back after our conversations with our guests coming up, okay? I'll do more digging. Thank you, David.
Take a look. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. If you're on hold, I'm going to check in with our guest. We're going to have a conversation about tax season. So I'm going to jump into our commercial and updates. And if you have any tax questions, please call or text 773-763-9278. You know you have questions. I know it's scary. Taxes are, I think Jeff's going to help us make it a little less scary. And that's our goal. All right, more after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
Out Chicago.
How are you doing,
I am immersing myself in as many positive experiences, i.e. theater, music, whatever I can do.
I keep going back to doing your joy homework.
Yes.
During this point, joy is a practice. And you have to actively seek out the things that bring you joy.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820. You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Before I get to our guest, very quickly, I want to thank everybody who came out to the event on Saturday with the Democratic Party, the DuPage Democratic Volunteer event. I apologize that I couldn't make it. It was my mother's 90th birthday, but everyone that came out for the Democratic Party of DuPage County, a volunteer event, it looked like it was a wonderful success, and Jerry had a great time chatting with everybody, and thank you so much for your support and the work that you're doing out there in DuPage. And it also reminded me that because I didn't make it, it was my mother's 90th birthday. And one of the things that my mother and I talked about over the weekend, sadly for your birthday, Jeff Badu, we should not be talking about taxes at birthday time celebrations, should we, Jeff? How you doing today? Hey, Jeff?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Jeff.
Yes,
hi. Am I saying your last name correctly? How do I pronounce your last name?
It's Badu.
Badu. Hi, Jeff. Now, Jeff, my mom is 90 years old, and I want people like my mom to understand that it's okay to not do your taxes yourself by hand every year. And not just if you're 90. At any age, it's good to turn to an expert like yourself. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you have a mission, a very clear mission of how you want to help people navigate the tax season and beyond. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got started.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Jeff Badu. I'm a licensed CPA, certified public accountant. I was born and raised in Ghana and came to the U.S. when I was 8 years old. And fast forward, I attended the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where I received my bachelor's degree in accounting, as well as my master's degree in accounting. And when I was there, I went on to become
pretty much an intern, eventually full-time at PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC, which at the time was the number one public accounting firm in the world. And I was also working on my own business plan, which in September 2016, I decided to leave PwC, where I was working at full-time, in exchange for my own full-time entrepreneurship business. And that's when we launched Badu Tax Services, LLC, which today is a CPA firm, a tax firm that does tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation services for individuals and businesses across all 50 states in the U.S. And we also have clients that are physically based in over 25 countries at the moment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a great story. Well, first of all, ILL. Sorry.
IMI.
That's right. I lived in Allen Hall for 2 years, and then I lived in Urbana, right off of on Elm Street, off of Green and Lincoln. Did you live in Champaign or Urbana, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I lived in FAR, on campus. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Man, you guys, when you were downwind in the warm weather of those of the manure, that was not great down there by FAR.
Exactly. Indeed.
What drew you to accounting as a major in college and then to get your master's?
Yeah, so it all goes back to my entrepreneurship drive in that. So growing up in Ghana, it's a very entrepreneurship-heavy environment. There's no real government support. You don't have food stamps and Section 8 and all the stuff that we receive here in America. And so it's a real hustle mentality, right? It's a real, you got to go out there and get it. And so growing up watching that, it made me want to become an entrepreneur. I saw a lot of people running their own business. They were selling clothes. They were doing all types of things out there. And you tend to become what you see, or you tend to want to become what you see. And on top of that, both of my parents are entrepreneurs. My dad is a real estate developer in Ghana. My mom is also a real estate developer and runs a retail business. So I was surrounded with nothing but entrepreneurs. So I wanted to run a business. And then in junior year of high school, that's when I took an assessment, pretty much as one of those career assessments. And you answered a bunch of questions, and then it led you to which career path would be best for you. And so accounting naturally became the choice. And so, mixing that accounting entrepreneurship background ultimately led me into running and starting my own CPA firm. And overall, that I also love numbers, right? Love money, love dealing with money, love talking about money. It's something I've always loved as a kid and also now as well. And, allowed me to become an accountant, allowed me to want to assist clients when it comes to their money and their finances, which is tied very closely to my purpose in life, which is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle.
And I love that you've written several books about this, including that title you just mentioned about abundance. And tell us a little bit about these books and where people can pick them up so that perhaps they want to even learn more about how to harness those resources.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm very fortunate to be a 5-time author. And the books that I've written are primarily around my life's purpose, my life story, as well as all the different things that I help people with. So, for example, the main book that I wrote is called Infinite Expansion, How to Infinitely Expand Your Vision of Abundance. It is a story about my life's purpose, a bit about my background, all the things that I went through as a kid growing up. And then also talks about the 12 steps to creating an abundant lifestyle. Those books can be found right on my personal website, jeffbadu.com. That is JEFFBADU.com. The books are primarily on Amazon, but jeffbadu.com is the site that takes you to all the infinite resources that I have available, which include the 5 books that I've written as well.
Well, it's remarkable that you have found a way to help others see what their potential is. And the thing is, for a lot of people who didn't grow up in an environment like you with entrepreneurs and people starting businesses and seeing sort of the path forward, a lot of us, I think what holds us back is the stress related to money. Would you say that that's a major part of it?
Yeah, a lot of folks are stressed about money. As a matter of fact, I believe the most talked about topic on the planet is money. Mm-hmm. When people think about money, when people think about their finances, one of the things that I often hear them say is they get anxiety. You know, they get nervous when they hear about money, when they talk about money. And so that lets me know that people's relationships with money isn't the most stable, isn't in the best state. And that's why I come in to help people create that abundant lifestyle and truly have that better relationship, that more, that more intimate relationship with money in a way that doesn't make them obsessive about money, but rather use money as a tool to help them achieve the goals and the dreams that they set for themselves, essentially.
I think it's great, and people do want that direction. You know, you'll be scrolling, through any social media platform, and all these people come at you with this advice. We're talking to Jeff Badu. That's JEFFBADU.com to find out about all the work that he does, the services, his blog. But also, we are, talking about stress. Folks are calling and texting in with questions about taxes, and this is the thing that really makes people nervous. They put it off. So let me see. There's a wide range of things that people have questions about. I actually know, I don't know if I know the answer to this. My dad used to buy lottery tickets. You get a lot of questions about lottery tickets and gambling expenses and things like that?
Yeah, we get around gambling. It's funny, even some of my uncles, some of my family members, they used to play the lottery a lot. But lately, over the past 5 to 10 years, I noticed they don't play the lottery anymore.
Oh, really?
For gambling, we do often get some clients that, they go to the casinos, and now there's sports betting and all that. So, we get quite a bit of the gambling one.
For lottery, so the question, I'm not quite sure I understand the phrasing of this. Can you claim you're on one but purchase tickets for lottery with your taxes? My understanding is, so this is going back to when my dad was a gambler, was if you win, you can claim the tickets that you bought is counted towards that income. Is that right?
Yeah, so it gets a little tricky. So you are right, Patty, in that basically you are allowed to claim on your Schedule A itemized deductions of your 1040 individual income tax return that is due by April 15th each year. You're allowed to claim any gambling losses up to the gambling income. So, yes, if you lost $15,000 but you only won $10,000, you can only claim $10,000. You cannot claim the full $15,000 because if that was the case, then unfortunately it would lead to more gambling, right? More of a gambling habit.
Yep.
And it's funny, I'm actually watching the show right now, and the son that's in the show, unfortunately, he got into a big gambling issue, and now he had to sell the actual shop, right? It's literally a shop that's within a family. He had to sell the shop as collateral because he got into some gambling debt, and now they don't even know what to do with the son, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we actually going to start working with some folks about gambling because my father he ended up having to claim bankruptcy. He took out credit cards in other family members' names, ruined our credit. And that's, so I want people to be mindful of that because now it's even easier with your phones to gamble. Mm-hmm. So let me take another text question. One person asks what recommendations you have, suggestions for finding a quality tax professional for those who are low income. The listener says, I feel like there are programs to get assistance with filing taxes. I'm just concerned that their knowledge may be limited and potentially leave you with mistakes to handle. That's from Wendy.
Yeah, it's a great question, Wendy. And so basically, here's what I would say in that. In life, you pay for value. You literally get what you pay for, right? So if you want value, honestly, most of the things that I've gotten that were valuable in life were the things that I've actually had to pay for. So, yeah, I get it. And hiring an accountant may sound expensive. Oh, I can just get on, the TurboTax and all these other platforms, which is cool, which is fine. However, when you're paying for a plumber to fix a pipe issue, you're paying for that plumber's expertise. You're paying for 10-plus years of that plumber's education to help you fix that problem that puts you more at peace at night, right? So I know it's a bit of a long-winded answer, but I'm about to get to the point here in that.
Yes, I agree.
You got to pay for value. You have to pay for value in the things that you want. Yes, it may be low income, but the thing is, well, what if you have a business? Well, these platforms, they may not be the best suited for a business. And yeah, they have these free tax assistance, free tax places out there, which I used to actually volunteer at as well. But the thing is, you should always, if something is generating you a ROI, a positive return on investment, it's providing you. Let's say you're paying $300. Let's just say you're paying $1,000, and it will get you $3,000. Well, to me, that's a worthwhile investment. That's something I'm making all day, every day. I need more of that, right? And so in our firm, especially when we offer tax planning services, we want to make sure the investment that you make is something that you'll get a return out of, right? You'll get a nice return. And so with all that being said, the point when you hire a professional is when you feel that there's going to be value added to hiring that professional. Honestly, my advice, hire the professional as soon as possible. Hire them now. Not just because I'm a tax professional, but this is just from experience with everything that I've done in life, and that me hiring a professional has helped me go further. And here's the last point, in that basically, it's when you're hiring a professional, a tax professional especially, the first question, the most important question you should ask them is, what is your tax strategy, right? How do you go about your own taxes? Because if somebody's telling me something, advising me on something they're not doing themselves, to me that makes them a hypocrite. To me that means they lack integrity, and that's somebody that I can't really trust with my money, trust with basically them giving me expertise. Because if they're telling me something, but they're doing something completely different, then are you truly looking out for my best interest, or are you truly just wanting my money? And so ask them the question, the real conversation, the real question, what is your tax strategy? And then, you can also ask them questions like, hey, how much experience do you have working with clients in my situation as well?
Excellent. That's such great advice. Again, we're talking to Jeff Badu. He has his website where you can learn more information about the work that he does. It's jeffbadu.com. Jeff is JEFFBADU. You can find out about his life, how he became an entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. He's a licensed certified public accountant and the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises. And his mission is to make sure that people can really build generational wealth, and he wants to create a community of abundance, especially in the underserved areas of Chicago's South Side. I'm going to give out the phone number to folks, and I'll give it out before we finish our conversation with Jeff. It's 773-819-5675 for tax assistance today. Again, that's 773-819-5675. If you missed it, you can text me, and I'll send it to you through the text screen so you have it on your phone. But I'll also I'll mention it again before we go, because Jeff, we have two more callers on the line. I'm going to take a quick break and come back with our listeners. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend. Excellent. Let me take a break here. Of course. Let's take a break here. We'll be right back after this with Jeff Badu on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal as we drive it home.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
I am taking your calls because we are on the air with Jeff Badu, who is a CPA and his Chicago-based Badu Tax Services. Badu Tax Services offers a comprehensive set of tax services, including tax prep, planning, and representation. Jeff, I want to first of all tell you that some of our listeners are thanking you for your advice, including Wendy, who texted in, as well as our friend who bought the lottery ticket. So you're helping people already. That must feel good.
Amen to that. It's truly an honor. It's truly a blessing, and it's really what brings me joy in the things that I do. And honestly, I feel in life you should always be doing things that bring you joy, because that's what fuels you, that amplifies you to continue doing it and doing it at the highest and best level as well.
Excellent. Well, here's Bill from Franklin Park, who has a question. Hey, Bill, you're on with Jeff.
Hey there. How are you? Thank you for taking the call.
Absolutely.
No problem. Doing great.
So this is a unique situation. It came up today. Our son actually went into a tax preparer for the first time, our family tax preparer. He intended 2 years ago, he was relocating down to Tennessee. He, with his employer, arranged for his taxes to be taken out at the Tennessee rate, which is 0 for the state taxes, but he actually never made it down there. He then, knowing he wasn't going to go back down there, did contact his employer and stated that he was staying here in Illinois, but they didn't catch that and make the change. So at this point, when filing his taxes, this new tax filer noted that, no, you're in Illinois, you should be paying this amount of tax. What should he do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the best way to fix this is to request a W-2 corrected form, like W-2C, and that advises the employer to correct the state that should be listed on the W-2 to being reflected as Illinois, right, instead of Tennessee. And so, technically you're supposed to pay taxes where you work. Where you work nowadays can be defined as where you physically live or where you physically were, and so I would say requesting that W-2 corrected form would be the best way to go about it. Unfortunately, that would force him to incur a state income tax for Illinois, since Illinois income taxes were not withheld at the 5% or so. So that's the only caveat. Now, if he can prove, if they can't fix it, and he can somehow prove that he was domiciled in Tennessee, then, so be it, right? But technically, Illinois in this case would be the correct state to pay the state income taxes to.
So no way of getting, he can't claim being down in Tennessee for the past year and a half or two, correct?
Yeah, just for clarity, was he living there?
He had intended to, but he was in transition, but never made it down there fully.
Got it. Yeah, so that would be the sort of the cut right there, and that since you didn't physically live there, then technically that would be, what it is that the Illinois would be the tax that's supposed to be paid to. And so that's going to be something that the employer would need to fix. And honestly, if they can't fix it and they say, hey, we have to attribute you to Tennessee, then that could be something potentially that we can at least work with. Since the employer is not looking to cooperate, that's something that we would probably have to make some manual adjustments on, essentially.
Okay. Are they at all financially responsible for him not knowing they didn't collect?
Unfortunately not. Now, if there's any penalties that come with it, then potentially there could be some compensation that could be requested from the employer. But if we're talking about the state income tax component only, which is technically due by April 15th of this year, then typically not, unfortunately.
Excellent. I think you fully answered the question. Thank you.
Outstanding.
And a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey, Bill.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Look at that. Thanks, Bill. Good luck to your son. I know how stressful this is, so I wish you guys the very best. Thank you. That's a shame.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Yes. It's hard, Jeff. It's hard for us with the taxes and previous, things that were done differently. It's just a lot. So that's why we also have John on the line who also has a question. John in Chicago, you're on with Jeff Badu.
Hey, Patty. Love your show. Again, long-time listener, first-time caller. Happy birthday to your mom.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So I know that everyone's scrambling now to kind of get all of their documentation together, but if you can't, you have the ability to apply for an extension, which I think takes you into October if it's a personal return. My question is, does that only extend the time for filing, and what happens if after you file you realize that you owe money?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. And so first and foremost, do want to put out a plug in that our firm website is BaduTaxServices.com. That is BaduTaxServices.com, BADU taxservices.com, and that's pretty much where anybody who's looking to, have services with the firm or anything like that, you can call us. There's a code on there, a quick QR code you can scan, and it takes you right to a 1-minute quick, very, very quick questionnaire. That is BaduTaxServices.com. And so to answer your question, John, basically, in terms of the extension, yes, an extension only extends the time to file to avoid the late filing penalty, which is 5% per month, not the extension of time to pay, unfortunately. which is 0.5%, 0.5% per month. So if you have a balance due that was supposed to be paid by April 15th and you filed by September and you paid September, then the late filing penalty would not apply because you filed an extension. That's 5% per month, up to 25%. But then the late payment penalty does apply, which is 0.5%. So you take 0.5 times the number of months between April and September, and that's your penalty amount. Now, can we request waiver of that penalty? 100%, we can do it for you. And with our clients, we do offer complimentary penalty waivers and things of that nature as well.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
John? Great. Thank you for that question. Really important stuff. Jeff, this has been helpful, and let's figure out how we can talk to you again, because I feel better already about knowing that I need to start talking. I'm one of those people that uses software like H&R Block, and I need to move off of that. I'm too far in the game to keep doing that, right?
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much. Again, it's Badu, jeffbadu.com. That's JEFFBADU.com. And if you check out our Facebook page on the Patti V Show page or the WCPT Facebook live stream, some of our listeners were kind enough to share the website and the phone number, which is 773-679-7198. Thank you so much for the work that you do for people who are stressed, for your community, and congratulations on all your success, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patty. Appreciate the time. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Talk to you again soon. Take care. Thank you. Let's take a break here. When we come back, Steve, we're going to take a call in just a little bit. I also want to thank Ricardo and the folks who were texting in. Ricardo wanted to thank Jeff as well for answering the question. And we'll be right back after this with Jen Zanotti, and then we'll take some more calls about what's going on, and all the other things. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And we are broadcasting here out of WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. You can find all of our shows also broadcasting online on like the TuneIn app. You can watch the live stream on Facebook, where we just, on the Patti Vasquez Show page, Jerry just informed me we have gotten another 1,000 followers over the last couple of days. Thanks, Jerry, for stirring the pot and directing some attention our way. People are having very heated conversations on the Patti Vasquez Show page. And, of course, I love seeing all of our friends watching the live stream. And hi, Lamond. I apologize. I didn't say hi earlier at my Romper Room camera. Hey, everybody tuning in. And I also want to announce that we have a new sponsor of the show, Source Solar, now sponsor of the Patti Vasquez Show. And you can go to source.solar to learn more about the work that they do, including getting solar installed on your home. You can reach out to them and find out if you are the right fit and get a consultation with Peter. So we are very grateful and honored to have them join the show, and we'll be having conversations with them because I know that we've thought about it too. Now, I don't think I'm alone when I say that there's a lot of stress out there, and with stress, there's also a lot of folks not taking as good a care of themselves, maybe eating things that don't help their immune system, and at the same time, we have a lot of flu cases. I know that the numbers are on the rise, as well as other respiratory issues and viruses, infections, and so when Jen reached out, she said, "Are we talking today?" I was like, "Yes, Jen Zanotti, we are talking." You can go to allthingsgenz.com to learn more about the work that she does and follow her on Instagram. And if you're ever interested in studying jiu-jitsu, you can learn some moves. Jen, are you surrounded by people who seem to be coming down with colds and flus and things like that? Or do you have a circle of friends that are staying away from that, avoiding it?
It's funny, actually, when you texted me about this topic today. I had one of my coaches message me that they were coming down with a cold, and then I had my youngest stepdaughter message that she had gone home from school because she had a cold, and I got over a cold. It lasted probably about 2 weeks. My congestion. I took like one rest day, like stayed home. Jay was like, I'm filling in for you. You're staying home. You're not doing anything. But it kind of lingered a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is the time, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are getting sick, and with things that are even more so, like you're saying, flu. There's like norovirus going on, of lots of things, happening. So it's that time of year, but it's super important to be able to kind of recognize the signs and take care of yourself a little bit. And if you can be proactive, I think that's the best thing.
Yes.
To make things last a little bit shorter. So, one of the things, and I just have, as we always kind of, prep for like what our theme is, I have a little list that I put together. So, definitely making sure that you're getting in your regular multivitamins, minerals on the daily. I think that's something always good to be able to do. When you feel like you're starting to get sick or you are sick, making sure you're boosting your vitamin C, your vitamin D, your zinc. Something that I love and I was not taking because I ran out and had to get some more, but is elderberry. That's something that I take all the time, just daily. And that definitely, I think, just helps boost my immune system and kind of keep everything at bay. So I really, don't get sick as often, knock on wood. And I had just happened to run out and I wasn't taking it for a couple weeks. So now I'm back to it. But I really do find, I don't want to say that's a total hack, but I feel that if you incorporate elderberry, that's something really good to just kind of add to your regimen. Like I said, along with that vitamin C too, and anything citrusy, like we've talked about before, taking lemon ginger shots and anything that you can incorporate that's citrus. I don't usually promote, drinking a lot of orange juice because it has a lot of sugar in it. But if you can get like, pure orange juice, like that's what I was doing while I was sick. It's something I was kind of craving. Your body will crave. But really kind of listening to the signs too, and just getting some rest, getting some sleep. And as making sure you are feeding your body with the right nutrients. As you were saying, we have so much stress that's kind of going on in our lives, and, low stress is going to help. I know that's not easy to control, but when we are super stressed and then not eating well or drinking too much, that's obviously going to invite, lowering our immune system. It's going to invite colds and flus and things like that. But one other thing that I want to say before
yes, please.
Is that one of the things that I love, especially if you are getting a cold, and this is totally old school, but just boiling a pot of water and throwing some Vicks in it, and then throwing your head, like don't get too close to the pot because the steam is going to come, but having a towel over your head and just inhaling that Vicks, like the vapors, it helps drain so much congestion out of your nose, your sinuses, everywhere. And if you can do that, a few times a day for a few days, depending on how long your congestion's lasting, I swear by that. Like, I just think it's such a great remedy. I mean, it's totally old school and what, like, my nana and my mom would always have us do, and like put Vicks vapor rub all over our feet and our chest and everywhere. But doing it on the stove with a pot of boiling water in the water, it helps so much.
Interesting. Yeah, I have used Vicks. And the other thing is, again, because it opens up your sinuses and things like that. What I used to do when I was broke and didn't have health insurance in the 90s, when I was in my 20s, I remember getting I would get boiling water and then like a towel over my head with a garlic in the water. And that would...
Yeah, you could do that. That's something that can help too. People would say having garlic. I mean, garlic supplements. Garlic's good for the health too. Just eating as much garlic as you can. I unfortunately can't really have. I hate saying this as an Italian, but I can't eat raw garlic anymore.
Oh no!
It just gives me the odge. That's what we call it, the heartburn. It's too much. It doesn't sit well.
Oh no!
But it has so many health benefits.
So one of the things during the pandemic that I learned about was basically fermenting full cloves, right? You peel them in a jar with honey. So then you have this garlic honey. And it's like, and I should be taking a teaspoon of it every day, especially during cold and flu season. But as soon as I feel like I might be getting something, I eat the cloves whole. And if you're a garlic lover, it's actually quite tasty. So Google the instructions. But you need a mason jar. You need to let it. But now, now it's planning ahead, right? And you can store it, I think, for up to a year. But it takes about maybe even a month, and it'll start to bubble. You have to open this whole process. You have to open it and let the air out, and then reseal it again. So you got to follow the process so it doesn't explode in your pantry.
Sounds like a starter, like doing like a sourdough starter or something.
It was the pandemic, and then sometimes I'll boil some water and just put that garlic honey in the water, and it feels really good. That's great. But also I love honey, and then my husband stays away from me.
There you go. That could be good, bad. I don't know, you know. But the honey is great too. Like when I wasn't feeling well, I was also doing just boiling up some water and putting a little bit of like lemon juice in it for some of that citrus, and then the honey. And honey actually, especially if you get it local, if you suffer from allergies or anything, having some honey can really kind of help with allergies too, as it gets you it boosts your immunity because of where it's like locally sourced, like against those allergies in that area. So that's something good too, as another proactive thing, to be able to have.
Excellent. Yeah. Now, I started this conversation with how much stress people are under. And there's a lot of reasons to feel stressed right now. The news, I think, for a lot of folks is overwhelming. We just talked to our friend Jeff Badu about tax season, which money makes us stressed, a lot of things going on. And you and I often talk about meditating, and there are folks who it just sounds too touchy feely, but even if it's just 3 minutes, folks, right, of just recentering yourself, clearing your mind a little bit. And I think people have this idea that when you meditate, your mind has to be completely empty. You can acknowledge a thought and then continue trying to relax. Tell us a little bit about how that can impact our nervous system and our immune system.
Oh yeah, we are processing so much all the time, and it's a lot. And I know meditation can sound like, I don't have the time to do that. People feel like they have to sit for an hour doing it. Like you said, it could be 3 minutes, it could be a minute, but being able to kind of just stay present. It's not even about shutting down, because that can be impossible to just turn everything off and not think about things. We'll have intrusive thoughts. We'll have thoughts of the day. Our mind is scattered. But to be able to just be present and kind of sit and even focus on just taking deep breaths can just help calm us so much, regulating that nervous system, just getting us back in tune with ourselves for a moment. If you can do that, even for a minute every day, right? Or even think about this when I had on my podcast a meditation specialist. I would call him Mr. Meditation, but he would talk about when you're brushing your teeth, right? Like to take 3 deep breaths, because you always, hopefully, are at least brushing your teeth like twice a day. We could probably count on, and taking 3 deep breaths after that in the morning and then at night. So you're taking that time. That's like a meditative time for yourself, set aside for just you, where you can just focus on that breath and calm yourself down. And I also think something that we don't think about is how meditative, and it might be hard when you're stressed, but to be able to laugh or to hug somebody. Like if you can get a hug from someone you love, your family, friend, partner, whoever, for at least 20 seconds, like that helps lower the cortisol levels. That's also, if you can laugh. Sometimes there's just so much craziness going on. Like Jay and I, there'll be times, I don't know, at night, and we'll be talking and I'll just start like losing it. I'll just laugh. Like to be able to laugh with somebody, I think that releases so much stress. So think about the last time you were able to do that, or you were really able to give someone or receive a nice, good hug, right? Or be able to focus on taking a few deep breaths for yourself. All of this stuff I think is super restorative and things that may sound simple, but are so nurturing for our soul.
Absolutely. I also want to let folks know, I mean, not everybody has the ability to take off of work, but if you can, I would really recommend that one, for your own healing, two, to make sure that people in your, at your workplace or at church or at school or whatever are also protected from what's going around, slow it down a little bit. But I mean, not for nothing, but if you can binge watch something, just there is something about healing that also makes us slow down from everything else that's going on too, don't you think?
It's a force, and I have to say, I think, my husband is like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst patient because I tell and preach and say, help all my people around me and my clients and everybody, yes, you need to take time out for yourself if you're not feeling well, self-care, rest, all this, but I'm like the hardest person to do that. So, even I had to just kind of like chill, relax. I was like, okay, this is going to be a free day that I get. Like, yes, I'm recovering from a cold, but I can binge watch some shows. I can read. I can, and it's like when you have time to just be able to sit and do that, right? Because we always have so much going on. So taking that time for yourself, if you are feeling under the weather, is important so that you're not prolonging it and making it worse. And yes, you're not passing it to everybody else. And I know everyone can't necessarily take off from work, but if you can, it's definitely worth it because it's just going to be better for you in the long run.
I agree. Okay, so rest, folks. Try to find some of the supplements that work for you. Was it blackberry? What was it?
Elderberry. Yeah, elderberry, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. Those are some of the top vitamins. It's on top of your regular daily vitamins.
And some folks say you should try to do a little bit of moderate working out when you're sick, I guess, depending on how, just to keep your body moving. Because you also, lying down can sometimes lead to if you're not moving at all, even if it's just kind of doing a little bit of stretching. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. I think it's always good. Listen to your body. If you have the flu and are, vomiting and not able to do something like that, then
clearly,
that's probably not the time. But if you've got like a little bit of a cold and congested, and you've been laying down for a little bit, get up, walk around, do a little bit of stretching, right? I'd even go outside like in the cool air and take some deep breaths out there and just kind of go for a walk around the block, bundled up. But I think it's good for you overall to get some movement in, because then when you are laying down for too long, also you can start getting other aches and pains, and you want to be able to move, get the blood flowing, and movement is just always good for us.
I agree. Keep moving, folks. I want everyone to take care of themselves because we've got a lot to do. Not just these stories that we talk about, what's going on in the news, but yourselves, your family, people in your community need you. We need you. So Jen's here giving you some advice, and I really am grateful for you showing up and giving us some positivity too. And that I look forward to talking to you again next Monday, my friend. Where can folks learn more about all the things that you do?
They can go to my website, allthingsgenz.com, or my Instagram at allthingsgenz, and my YouTube channel, All Things Gen Z. You can learn how to do some jujitsu on there. So those are all the places that you can find me, and always send me any questions if you need.
Outstanding. Thanks, Jen Zanotti. We'll talk to you next week. You always need that burst of positivity, and you're just so helpful to so many people. So I'm grateful to know you, my friend.
Oh, I'm so grateful for you. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you. Have a great night. Take care.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation. The phone lines are open if you want to join us. 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Ooh, we're talking to Matt McNeil in a minute. Oh, my God. All right, let me get to Steve's call when we come back.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk to our good friend Matt McNeil, host on KTNF AM 950. Of course, you can catch him here on WCPT evenings from 9 to 10. Let's get to Steve in Des Plaines. Thanks for calling in, Steve, and for being patient through our guests. I know that you've been energized in the last year or so, for the last few years.
Yes.
Tell us what's on your mind tonight.
Well, like I said, I've been energized. I stopped going to college, 40 years ago, and I'm on the fourth decade of my gap year, but I'm back at Northeastern and studying poli-science, and I hope to have my undergraduate by the midterms so I can be a substitute teacher in the Chicago school system. But I think it's important to get the people out that the midterms we need to start focusing, because if we can take control of the Congress and hopefully maybe even the Senate, if Trump is to die in office, which is a good chance, and Vance goes to the presidency, the Speaker of the House, which would be Jeffries, could be elevated to vice president, which would be maybe a first in American history. But the format for that is certainly in play if that should happen. So that's something to keep in mind.
I know. I've heard that pipe dream on, I believe, on, was it Tom? It is on Tom Hartman's show, right? Where he was talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, and it's far-fetched, of course, but, he keeps jamming those cheeseburgers down, and who knows? I hate to be so crass about it, but he could possibly pass away over the next 4 years, and if Jeffrey is in control of the Congress, he could possibly be elevated to vice president. So anything, food for thought. Yeah,
we don't wish anything bad on anybody. No, it's
of course not.
It is but it's interesting to keep in mind what the process is. And yes. I know there are a couple of races. I know we've talked to the candidate down in Florida who's running for one of the seats because the elected it was now part of the Trump administration. There's a couple of races. I don't know. Those sound like they could be tough. And I know that folks in Florida must be nervous because I was just checking actually that exact post, and again, when some of these folks, these lickspittles, get nervous, they start getting very angry on my Facebook page. So it's sort of fascinating to see. Yeah, the candidate down in Florida is Josh Wheel, and he is running to become the 6th district the congressman of Florida's 6th district. So look for joshwheel.us if folks want to help with that campaign. As Steve was saying, it's an opportunity to perhaps flip the House and put Hakeem Jeffries in as a speaker. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We got it. Yeah. And we move forward. That's for sure.
We move forward. I'm so excited. What courses do you got this semester?
Well, I'm doing 9 hours because I was going to take 12, but I thought, put my feet in lightly here in the beginning. Poli-sci, 10:50 in the morning. And then I go to American history from the beginning to 1877. Then my third class is American history from 1877 to the present. So it's a real American class study.
Excellent.
Class schedule. Yeah, it's really good. So it's exciting.
So
really good.
I don't know if you heard earlier, one of our listeners called in talking about this guy, Curtis Yarvin. And I was not familiar. Medicus Moldbug, I guess, was the name of his previous moniker. Yes. So he believes that we should have a CEO, that we should not be a democracy, that we need to be run like a corporation, using Apple as an example and all these things. And it's so and it does seem as though Trump or Vance or whoever is taking their notes from him, because he was writing about how we need to expel all the Palestinians out of Gaza, that it's worth more money with them gone than it is with them there, basically make it a corporate state. So this is their goal. Their goal is what we've been talking about, is to basically make the United States a corporate state. And the thing is that government, I get it. I get that there's waste. I get that there are ways we can turn things around, and we need to focus on those things. But government cannot run as a corporation, because government doesn't run as a profit, right? We don't have investors, and a company can claim bankruptcy and cover their losses. What are Americans supposed to do if all their services are gone because they've decided that services for the disabled and the elderly are not important, and we just let folks suffer? So at any rate,
well, if you're going to start running government for a profit, in essence, is what they're saying.
Yep.
Is that when you run for a profit, someone has to someone has to lose in a way.
Right.
It's competition in a sort of weird philosophical way. It doesn't work, and that's why back in school we need to educate everybody, old, young, and different. And I think this Yarvin person who I have had a little exposure to, he in essence wants to. The American experiment is done and over.
Yep.
It's failed, and he wants to. In essence, he wants a dictator. In essence.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Matt McNeil about this and other topics. Steve, great to hear from you, my friend. Take care.
Love you, hon.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Let's take a break here and check in with Matt McNeil, the host of the Matt McNeil Show. You can hear him weeknights at 9 o'clock, and of course, at his regular time on KTNF AM 950.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago or in Minnesota, because we have our friend Matt McNeil, who's the host of the Matt McNeil Show on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Matt, I'm so sorry it's been so long. It's been crazy. I can't keep up with the world. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, but I mean, you were out and about, you New Orleans and out in the West Coast and doing all sorts of. So it's okay, it's fine. I always when you're there and you're ready for me, I'm standing on by.
Well, right back at you. I know that you had reached out about a video I had made when I was in New Orleans about one of your electeds who basically said that the head of Planned Parenthood, who had passed away from brain cancer, was where she belonged in hell, and Mary
Franson. Yeah. Mary Franson, a state representative out here. To give you an idea, and this is something you're seeing in Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana as well. This is what you're seeing. Okay, so what Trump has done to rural America, just to rural America, he cut the USAID budget. I mean, in the state of Minnesota, that was $70 million worth of crops that they are now not buying, which in rural Minnesota, that's a lot of money. You also have the cutting off of food aid through they are not giving out their grants. So you have food shelves and things like Meals on Wheels that don't have money. And that's not just in those big bad metro city areas, but all through all those rural areas as well. And then on top of that, you have they've cut sort of the funding for what was the other one I was thinking of? The funding for daycares. That's right. Yep. A lot of these daycares, they get supplemental money through the programs to help lower income kids. Their profit margins are about 1% for a daycare, which means they can go about 3 months without that extra money before they're shutting down. So you've jeopardized daycares across rural America. And he's attacked the Lutherans. The Lutherans, for goodness sakes, because heaven forbid they like that whole thing of feeding the hungry, taking care of the sick, sheltering the homeless, and welcoming in strange people from strange lands. The strangers from strange lands, not strange people. That's the Trump White House. But strangers from strange lands. And they're all against this, but the only thing that these clowns up here in rural Minnesota are concerned about are transgender athletes, in high school sports, which has never happened in Minnesota. All this stuff is actually happening in their districts, and they could care less. And their only focus is an issue that doesn't exist in their districts, but yet is their only driving force. I mean, It's a broken system right now, that's for sure.
I agree, and I was mentioning this in the last hour that we had put up a cartoon that it was the idea being that it's just politics. Can't we just still be friends? And it's someone wearing a MAGA sweatshirt and then someone wearing a shirt that has a trans pride flag, but that shirt could be anything. Like basically, that the voting for Trump and being MAGA is a stab in the back or in the stomach to people in your community, and it could be a disability symbol. It could be women's autonomy. Like it's a slew of things. But they lost their ever loving minds because of the trans flag. And you should see. I mean, nothing on my page has ever blown up like this before. And it's partly I think bots and trolls and all those things. But on the other hand, we got like 2,000 new followers because of it. So apparently that's one way to get people riled up, Matt. But they, like you said, but that's all they want to talk about. Like it's bizarre, and they are the sorest winners I've ever seen. They're getting everything they want. Why are they so mad at us?
They're mad at us because we were right. And that is, okay, so their entire psyche, their entire mindset is denying the fact that they were told all the stuff that's about to hurt you really bad, we told you about. We told you that this was going to happen. We told you that this was going to be painful for you. And they're like, no, it's not. And they even before the election, they kept screaming, oh, eggs. We were eggs, Matt, eggs. We were only voting because of eggs. We didn't really hear the rest of it, which they all applauded and cheered, so they heard it. The reality is that they've known they screwed up. There's instantaneous buyer's remorse. They know things are not going to go well. But the idea of us being right is so such they're definitely, it's something that affects their id, and so they desperately want to. That's why they'll focus on transgender athletics, not because it's really a problem for them, but because it's something to scream about, as opposed to actually acknowledging you've lost funds for farmers in your rural districts, you've lost daycare access in your rural districts, you've lost food for the hungry and Meals on Wheels for the hungry elderly in your district. They don't want to talk about that because that's what Donald Trump wants. They need to go along with it, as opposed to actually try to fix problems. And so that's what, heaven forbid you actually care about other human beings. I mean, that's just me. I'm just call me wacky, crazy liberal, but I'm going to care about other human beings. I'm not going to be looking for people I can turn into villains just because I can't accept the fact that I made a massive mistake, and democracy as we know it is in jeopardy.
It really is. Now, somebody called in and and I'm sure I've heard this name in the background before, and they had a different moniker before, but Curtis Yarvin. Have you heard of this guy who apparently is this software engineer that J.D. Vance, and he espouses all the things that Trump and Vance, including the idea of wiping Gaza off, basically, expelling all the Palestinians and making Gaza a corporate controlled state and just having it run that way. Like he envisions it like Dubai, which is what basically they're like the property they're saying is more valuable with the people gone than it is with them there. And this guy's kind of terrifying if this is the playbook they're going by. Have you heard of this guy?
I've not heard of him, but I mean, obviously Trump today, he just did do this. He just threatened Jordan and Egypt with any aid if they don't take the Palestinians. And first of all, there is this complete unawareness or just refusing to acknowledge the fact that even like countries like Saudi Arabia, who he gets along with, are adamantly against removing the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. They are actually absolutely, 100% against this. And so, but he has to get, if we do have elections again, and I do say that if, because that is not a guarantee, I think. If we do have elections again in 2026 and he loses everything, he knows that unless something is started and its money's going and it's already there, that basically it can be stopped. And so he is frantically trying to do as much as he can do to get his agenda in place before there's any accountability. And so that's kind of what he's doing. That's why he's with this massive push to Gaza. I still, to the life of me, and you know this, and because I heard your shows and other people's shows, I still, to the life of me, I cannot understand the pro-Palestinian, anti-Harris voters who, during the election, kept convincing themselves that Harris was somehow worse than Trump. And here you are. Gaza is not going to exist. Palestinians are not going to be in the Gaza anymore. That is pretty much a done deal. This is going to happen, and it's going to mean more conflict and more persecution. And yet they still, for some reason, because I think they wanted to be avant-garde and they wanted to think that they were, witty and clever, they wanted to believe something that wasn't true, and they were manipulated by the right, who infiltrated those groups and convinced them not to vote for Harris. And it's part of the whole avalanche of it all. But the reality is that I feel sorry for you guys, because I understand you were passionate about this issue, but because of your foolishness and how you didn't vote for Harris, now what you were fighting for is gone. It is gone, and that is a massive tragedy. And I just can't. There's only so much you and I can do. We sit here every day and talk about, hey, have you seen what this guy is all about? Have you seen the crap sandwich that is Donald Trump? That's not food. Don't eat it. And yet people are like, let me take a bite. And you're like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I really don't either. I'm still going to, show up and volunteer. We're going up to Wisconsin next Tuesday. We're going to start talking to folks about their Supreme Court race, because they have a vacancy coming up, and we're hoping that we can hold the line there. And what are some of the races that you're looking? Do you guys have a lot of important races coming up in April? Because I know you have some chaos that has been going on in your capital. What are you looking at?
Well, we do have some minor races, nothing that's really up in question. Now, I will say this. If you want an interesting statistic, I don't know if you saw to your west there in Iowa what happened. A state senator there was picked to be the new lieutenant governor, creating an immediate open seat. So they had and this is late January, they had a special election to fill that seat. Pretty normal stuff. The district that Trump won by 21, the Republican won that seat with 61% of the vote. The Democrat won in the special election by 4 points. If that is an instantaneous, regret for what you happened, that wasn't a purple district. That was a solid red district that went blue. I think the reality is out there, and this is the hardest part, I think, for Democrats, is that every election matters. What you're doing in Wisconsin is so important. Yeah, we have up in Minnesota, there is going to be an election that basically, solidifies the tie in the Minnesota House. It's in a solid blue district, but you're darn right, everyone needs to get out there and vote, and that's just the case. There's no other elections scheduled right now in Minnesota, but they could be coming up. But the reality is that these are, no matter what it is, you've got to be fighting for it, and you cannot just sit on the sidelines. You can't take elections off. You can't be convinced that you need to be clever and witty and avant-garde and insist that you're going to be counterculture for one election, because this is what happens. We just had another plane crash in Scottsdale, Arizona today. Another. This is the fourth one. 1 dead, 3 in the hospital. This stuff has consequences, and yet you've got to go on there and just, as frustrating as it is, I just have to say to you, okay, fine, you sat it out, even though you knew that there was the crap sandwich that was Donald Trump was out there. You sat it out. Fine, but you got to realize now you can't do that again. Hopefully this motivates people, but it shouldn't take basically democracy getting wiped off the planet for people to get interested and say, maybe I should vote today. Yeah, maybe you should.
Well, my concern is, look, he said it. Remember that one rally where he said, just vote this one last time. You won't have to do it again.
Yes.
Which goes into I was talking about this guy, Curtis Yarvin, who it seems like he and Vance are following this playbook of, they believe in a monarchy, right? That you have to run, the country like a corporation, all these things. And because we've seen it in real time where the last thing that Donald hears or sees becomes his policy, right? So if Vance is putting this stuff in front of him, this is chilling stuff. It really is. Oh, yeah. It's insane. We have a madman now who, as you wrote, shows up at the Super Bowl acting like everyone showed up for him and not the game. And for a guy who's, saying that he's going to, eliminate waste and spent $15 million for this stunt. I mean, what the frickin' frack, man?
Oh, well, and, I have some real concerns about that too. By the way, I can't take credit for this, but this was brilliant. I love the guy that made the comment about saying the wealthiest man on the planet has decided the poor and the hungry have had it too easy. And I thought that's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there is this. When we talk about long game, and you and I have talked about this before, about Republicans and long game, there has always been this game about trying to create this ultimate control, but there's always been this much longer game that goes way back. The resentment of what is the Republican base to the changes from the American system, the Gilded Age of the 1880s, 1890s, where workers' rights started coming in, quality of life, livable wages, not having to, women's rights, stuff like this. They want to take us back to the days of the company town. And this kind of goes back to what you said, like to run like a company. They want a country where the companies rule, and that their argument will be, well, if you don't like it, you can just quit. But the reality is the system is set up to where you can't quit, and there is this control. They feel as if wealthy, it's not a monarchy per se, it's a plutocracy where the wealthy control the poor, and that is their game right now. And they have never been closer to basically pulling this off. And, I keep waiting for, you look at Hegseth and Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and Brainworm, and you see these grossly unqualified individuals going in for cabinet positions. And I keep waiting for some of these moderate Republicans to say, okay, this is a little, Tulsi Gabbard's, she's Susie Russia here. We can't have her in charge of these intelligence agents because Moscow will have complete control of our government. And yet they cave time after time. I don't know what it's going to take at this point outside of, maybe a handful of senators deciding to become independents and just saying enough. I'm just going to get away from the Republican Party, or 3 or 4 House members doing it. I don't know. All I can say is when you got Trump and his allies now saying, I don't care what the judiciary says, we're going to ignore this and do our own thing. That is dictator. That is on the game plan of dictators. That is something we have seen in countries over the last 200 years over and over again, where they remove the checks and balances. He's gotten the legislative branch under his control. He's got the Fourth Estate and the national news media under his control. And now he's looking at the judiciary and saying, Andrew Jackson, when the Supreme Court ruled against him about you can't remove the Native Americans from their land east of the Mississippi, he said, okay, you got your ruling, try to enforce it. And he did the Trail of Tears anyway. You're at that point. And if we're at the point now where there's no Republican who's in office has the guts to say, throwing aside the judiciary and basically causing chaos at this level is bad, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to come out of this pit.
I really do not either. And, it's a lot, man. I just got a text from a listener. Bob says, I'm 82 and effectively retired, but I'm not about to become a couch potato and do nothing but watch TV all day. I find most of the free over-the-air media are depressing because at this moment, everyone's running around in circles shouting, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. It certainly would be justified, but I'm mending from a cold and don't want to give it to anyone else. So I'm listening to WCPT through the internet, and I'm doing some reading, and the current book I have is Nancy McLean's Democracy in Chains, because rewriting the Constitution could well be their real agenda. And it's our friend in San Jose, California. And I will tell you, first of all, Nancy McLean was my mentor at Northwestern. I was getting my PhD in history. But to your point, this is the concern that people have. And I think a lot of people are feeling helpless and hopeless a little bit. What kind of, how are you keeping your mindset and staying focused on, talking to people and figuring, like coming up with our own personal strategies, or what are you open to?
Well, I think that we have to understand, and by the way, hello, San Jose. I think that one of the things that I think we have to look at is that these rallies, and of course you and I in the northern tier here, January, February rallies, it's kind of a hard sell. It's a little cold outside, trying to get people out there, it's a little difficult. But if you have to start getting out there and you have to start letting your voice be known. And do I think that when we have a 1,000 or so people show up at the state capitol, that's getting some attention? A little bit. What we really need to do is start looking at April, May, June, that every weekend in D.C., if there's 1 million people marching, trust me, that will shake the Republicans awake and realize this is bad. Now, I don't know what the Trump administration's response would be to something like this. I can concern a little bit, but you have two choices. You can sit back and just accept this, or you can fight back and say, "Oh, the heck with this," and you're more welcome to the party, pal. You're more than welcome to join us. I will say this: these governments like this fall not with a bang per se, but with a whimper, where the people submit themselves because of the news, because they're afraid, because it's such a deluge. They quit, they give up, they because the people that want to take control want them discouraged, and if they can succeed at that, then to get them feeling like there is a little bit less discouragement, they'll go along with it. Don't go along with this. And one of the things, and Patty, I don't know if this makes me a negative person, but one of the things you guys, I've been talking about a little bit, and other people have talked about, there are a lot of Republicans that are having buyer's remorse. And when all this goes south, I only have a finite amount of empathy and compassion to give. I don't. I'm going to find the people that did not vote for Trump, and I'm going to be there for them every day of the week. But if you voted for Trump and then all of a sudden have the audacity to say, I'm a victim too, with all due respect, I don't care. You did this to yourself. He told you what he was going to do. You kept screaming, yay! This is on you. I'm going to concern myself with the people that are real victims here. And in these large metro areas of Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Paul, you get there are a lot of groups. There's a lot of people who are afraid. There are a lot of people that are scared, and I am there for them, whether it's Hispanic, Latino, Venezuelan, whether it's LGBTQ, the trans community. I'm standing with you, trans community. Screw these jackasses. I'm tired of them. I'm with women. I am with the minority, whatever minority group, Black, Native American. That this is I'm a white male Christian straight man. I am not necessarily their target, although, what I say for a living might put a target on me. But the reality is there's a lot of people that are definitely going to be hurt by them, and I am here for them, and I'm going to do whatever I can to fight for them. But I have a limited amount of empathy. So I'm sorry. You voted for Trump. Good luck with all that, because I've got other people who didn't ask this to be put upon themselves to deal with and try to be there for. That's what we have to focus on, being there for the other people and letting our voices be heard, because if we sit back and we just get complacent, well, then freaking Trump wins, and we can't have that happen.
Well said, my friend. Well said. Thank you, Matt. Let's not make it so far in between our conversations. And again, where would you like folks to follow you on the social medias and tune into your show?
Well, you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm a happy little camper over there. If you're not on Blue Sky, you need to be on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, Matt McNeil Show on Blue Sky, Mastodon, Matt McNeil Show, Matthew McNeil 1 on Threads, and if you're on Facebook still, you can find me Progressive Citizen X Matt McNeil Show. Outstanding, my friend. Oh, just tremendous as always, and I wish you the best this evening. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet. Love you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's take a break here and wrap up the show if I have time. Let me see. Let's do this one. Let's do that. And then, I don't know why I'm telling you, but I have to talk through my thing.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT.
Again, I think to Matt's point is to keep showing up for each other, and that's what I am focused on doing here. I want to thank Lady B and everyone here that makes these shows happen. Jerry Walsky and Matt Cummings, of course, Tim Hogan, our executive director, and Jim Addy, and everybody, Antonio and Austin. I'm going to miss somebody. I shouldn't have started naming people besides Lady B. I guess I'm going to miss somebody. And Jorge and Mark Pinsky. We're here for you guys, and I'm so grateful that you show up. We're going to have a great show again tomorrow. I want to thank our new sponsor, Source Solar. Go to source.solar to learn more about the great work that we do, and we'll be having conversations with them in the weeks to come. In the meantime, be well, be happy. And yes, Matt McNeil, you sounded great. He always asks if you sounded okay. You sounded great. You're going to sound great in 2 hours after the Ready Road Show. Bye, everybody.